All right, everybody, come on in and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. You guys, this is Live Large Universe. I'm John Farian, and tonight we're going to have Joey Strub on for Torque Link, and we're going to be talking about what we can do to get the most out of your Skidoo factory turbo with what I consider some minor mods, right? We're not literally rebuilding stuff. We're not like putting on aftermarket turbos. Like, this is pretty straight up stuff, guys, and I'm pretty excited to talk about it tonight and see what it's all about. So come on in, but drop right in now in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. Everybody who's in the comments, and I can see that you're there, you're going to be entered in to win our Mountain Lab giveaway. We've got some Mountain Lab saws we'll show you in just a minute. So let me go ahead and kill the music here, and we're going to go ahead and drop the screen here. And so I've got the Torque Link logo up here, you guys. This is going to be awesome. By the way, Torque Link is going to be one of our all-time, long-time sponsors. You see it's up in the upper corner of the show too. And so you guys are going to continue to stay familiar with them, and I'll be giving you some updates through the season. But right now, again, Byron Farron, I appreciate you being here from Burley, Idaho. Drop it in the comments. Everybody else who's here, let us know where you're watching from, and you'll be in to win the Mountain Lab saws. So we've got the Mountain Lab folding hand saw, and we have a Mountain Lab backcountry chainsaw. These are both items that I keep in my tunnel bag that you just can't go out there without them, because if you ride like me, you're going to get hung up in a tree, or maybe you're going to go out boondocking and you get into a single track trail where there's trees down around there and there's no other way around. Sometimes you got to clear the path, and these items are the ones that you want to have in your tunnel bag when you're doing that. So again, thanks Mountain Lab for sponsoring the show again tonight. We appreciate you guys, and we're going to bring you Joey Strub from Torque Link here in 3, 2, and 1. Joey, how the heck are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. So it was fun to get to catch up with you again at Heydays. So that's where you and I bumped into each other recently. That was a good time. Did you guys have a good Heydays show?
Yeah, we had record heydays. It was unreal.
Yep. I think people are on fire for this season, right? It's going to be awesome. And so, tonight we're here to talk about the Torque Link setup. So why don't you give us just kind of a real high level, kind of a short version of, where did what is Torque Link? Why the brand? Because it's related to BMP or Bikeman Performance, right? And it's like a subdivision of it. Again, explain to us what Torque Link is, how it's related to BMP, and really what it's about. Give us an overview of Torque Link, quick, if you would.
Well, through Bikeman, we realized that there was a big missing link to the puzzle, that we needed to be able to get inside the ECU and tune, because when we were making power, there was things that were taking away the power as we made it. So we knew that we had to get in there, and we didn't just need it on one brand. We needed it on all brands and everything.
Yeah.
And talked to the other owner, and he said that this is something we got to do, or we need to find somebody else to do it. And he asked, "Well, do you think you can figure it out?" And I'm like, "I think so." So went down that rabbit hole and invested a bunch of resources and time, and found one other good person that helped me out, and turned something into something out of nothing. And we rebranded it Torque Link so that it really is a tuning platform.
Yeah.
That we didn't want other performance manufacturers to be scared of using.
Okay.
Because if you're another company, you might not want Bikeman in your product line.
Yeah.
Where Torque Link, since it's its own thing,
yeah,
they can use the technology, and they don't have to be pumping Bikeman.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. And actually, a lot of companies do that, where they have kind of a sub-brand within their brand in order to make sure that it's more, well-rounded in the industry that it's designed to engage with. And so, for me personally, this is exciting for me because, I'm one of those guys, and like, I'm probably one of those like eggs that's really hard for guys like you to crack. It's like, there's some guys that are just like, I want anything and everything to make my sled lighter, faster, whatever. And then you got guys like me who like aggressive backcountry riders, but it's like, man, reliability is probably the most important thing for me in the world, right? And so when Skidoo came out with the factory turbo back in 2021, actually 2020 and a half is when it got released, right? And I saw you right away. We're out there tuning and testing, and I saw some of the videos of you guys like that early 2020 and a half machine, and it was amazing to watch. But in the back of my mind, the whole time I'm thinking like, yeah, it's not for me. I'm kind of more of a stock guy, and I'm like content with now a factory turbo that's going to give me, especially at the elevations we ride, more power and kind of that consistency. And at the end of the day, reliability is kind of what I'm looking for, right? And but if I can wring some performance out of my machine while dealing with reliability, and that was one of the conversations you and I had at Heydays, and like we were chatting back and forth, and by the end of the conversation, frankly, you had me convinced, and so I decided to pull the trigger and order the kit from you, and here we are. We're going to talk about it tonight, and I want everybody else to kind of hear some of the Q&A that comes through. You guys actually have a lot of good Q&A through your website, through your Facebook page that you have, and we're going to walk through some of this tonight, and then I've got some questions at the end that are kind of John Ferrian specific questions that we're going to go through. But hopefully this is a good resource for everybody to kind of, because right now we've got the Skidoo factory turbos out there for a year and a half. They're going into the, the 2.5 season. I'm assuming you guys are already working on or have something ready for the Polaris turbos as well. I'm assuming at some point, or is that coming down the road yet?
Yeah, we'll be releasing something here pretty
Okay.
soon.
Okay.
Try not to go too deep into that right now.
Nope, nope, for sure. We're going to focus on Skidoo tonight because, frankly, that's what I'm looking at, right? I even wore my Skidoo hat for you tonight, Joey.
Well, you know what scared you about it, and that's actually what intrigued us because
Yeah,
we didn't get into this two-stroke turbo market at all
yeah,
until the factory turbo. And the reason we didn't do it is because a snowmobile needs a certain amount of sensors for it to operate right
yeah,
and to turn up the boost right. And until the Skidoo came out with it, with the exhaust pressure sensor,
yep,
uh, you know, MAP sensor, intake temp, all the different sensors that help that turbo run the way it should, uh, was necessary to make a sled run consistent with the two-stroke turbo.
yep, nope,
So
absolutely.
that made us say, well, let's get in this. We know how to do computers. Let's turn it up.
Yeah. Well, and the engine then has, detonation sensors and all kinds of other things and intake sensors and exhaust sensors. And so you can actually manage and monitor and manipulate everything, but stay within the parameters to make sure that you're not driving catastrophic failure, right? So,
Right? We can actually control boost and fuel off of knock, where some of the aftermarket stuff before this, like if the engine sensed knock, it couldn't control the boost.
got it.
Where now, if it, we can go into like a downgraded mode that it knows, well, I probably don't have the right fuel in it, so it just won't ever try to
Yeah.
achieve that same boost that it was trying the first time.
Yep, sounds good. Well, Joey, let's go into kind of your standard FAQ questions that I found on, again, on your Facebook page. These should be pretty straightforward. And I know you went into kind of a broader thing of what torque link is, but there's a question here that says, "What is torque link?" And it goes into information about the connector and all that kind of stuff too. Give us the kind of the short version of your Q&A session there.
Yeah, the torque link is pretty simple. It's just a device that connects your PC to your snowmobile,
Okay,
and it allows your PC to connect to a cloud-based server, and then you choose the tune from the cloud-based server and send it into your sled.
got it, got it. Easy as
Pretty
that.
pretty basic. I
Awesome.
mean, we try to make it really simple, really easy to use.
Yeah. So the connecting port, like where, and again, I haven't even torn into my sled to see how it all connects yet, too. But can you describe real quickly for us where is the connection port? Is it like the gauge cluster, or is it something totally different? Is there another port on the sled
Okay.
somewhere?
So on the Skidoo, it's actually right by your right knee. It's
Okay.
it's port like right underneath where your exhaust or where your recoil handle would be
Got
if
it.
you have one or don't have one.
Yep.
Uh, and you just unplug the buds connector where you would connect into the Skidoo diagnostics.
Got it.
And instead of plugging the Skidoo diagnostics, you plug right in the torque link.
Perfect. Now that you describe it, I know exactly which one you're talking about. I've seen it in there when I'm in there servicing my sled and just looking at it. So cool. So
An orange connector.
yep, perfect. So the next question is, what needs to be purchased to use it? So what else do I need to be able to leverage the torque link system and to use it well?
So there's two parts to the torque link system. You have the torque link itself, which is the link from your PC to the sled
Okay.
and the cloud-based server. And then there's the snowmobile license. So whether it's a snowmobile or UTV license or all licenses, but that allows you to flash your vehicle.
Okay.
And when you get your vehicle license, as soon as you connect to it and flash it, now your snowmobile is tied to that license, And at any point in time, you can go back in and choose a different flash from our library. There's no extra charges after you have your snowmobile license, and you can go back to stock. You can go to 10 horse, 20 horse, 30 horse, 45 horse, and back as many times as you want. You never have to contact us. If there's ever an update, you instantly have access to it the day we release it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So I think you kind of dialed into this a little bit too. It says, can you flash more than one vehicle with the same device?
The answer is yes, but you do need to get another ECU license for the second vehicle.
Got it.
So one device can flash yours, your buddies, your other buddies, but each ECU still needs a license. So a lot of people share the cost of the torque link between multiple buddies. That way it's less expense.
Got it. And so there's a difference in price of whether you order just the license for it versus the hardware and the license, is what it sounds like.
Right. So like if your buddy already has a torque link device, you can say, hey, can I get a license on your through your torque link to flash my spud? And they can even have their own login. They don't have to be under his login.
Yeah.
They can have their own login, but just go through that device, because the torque link device itself is just a access from the app to your sled.
Got it.
So as many people can have their own login in the app that want to.
Yeah, got it. And so, I think anybody who tunes a sled, there's times where you're tuning, you're doing things, and for one reason or another, you may want to flash it back to stock or reset your calibrations back to stock, maybe to troubleshoot some other issue that you're dealing with, right? And so, can the torque link system, once you've flashed it and gone into stage 1 through 4, can you go back and flash it to stock?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
It's real easy. Every model that we have a flash for, we also have the stock file in there.
Yep.
So you can just quickly flash back to stock as easy as you could go up to a horsepower setting.
Got it. And the next question in your Q&A, I love this. It's kind of, it's a little bit leading, and I can kind of see where you guys are going with this is, will the dealer know it's been flashed? Obviously, if you got a machine that's under warranty, people are concerned about that. And I think that's a question. And I love the way you guys answer these in your Q&A session. I'd love to kind of have you live share that with everybody. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the engineering level, for sure, they can tell it's been flashed.
Yeah.
When I go into ECU, I can tell it's been flashed. If I can tell it's been flashed, they can tell it's been flashed.
Got it.
But there's many things in there that we could do to make it like not be seen.
Yeah.
But we choose not to, because that would really leave a bad taste in BRP's mouth if we're trying to manipulate the system. So we really recommend that people be straight up honest with their dealer.
Got it.
If they have an issue, say, this is what I did. This is what happened. And if it's not due to a flash, they're most likely going to cover it. I can't speak for Skidoo or Polaris or Arctic Cat.
Yeah.
But in most cases that I've seen, they take care of the customer.
Yep. Nope. I understand that too. And I love the fact that you guys are being so transparent as a company. To me as a consumer, it gives me a lot of trust in you guys, seeing you that in your Q&As, being so transparent with customers and giving the not only the right advice, but the ethical advice that's out there. And so I appreciate you guys doing that. And frankly, if I had any question about that kind of thing on my side, guess what? I wouldn't be in. It's just not how I roll, as if I thought someone was being sneaky about something. So actually, truly, I admire that about what you guys have done in the Q&A session here. So what else do we have here? It says, if I flash a tune, can I change my mind and switch to a different stage? So obviously there's stages 1 through 4. Maybe now's the time to talk about what those different stages are, and or we can just answer this and come back to that. You decide. So.
Yeah, for sure. So say you decide when you call up and order it, I want a 20 horse tune. Well, we're going to send you the torque link device. We're going to give you your login for the Skidoo 850 Turbo.
Yep.
And once you log in, you're going to be able to choose any tune you want.
Okay.
So choose a 20 horsepower tune right out of the box. At any time, you can switch to a different one. You never have to call us. All those tunes are in your library at all times, and you have the right to switch to them anytime you want. You can bounce around.
Yeah.
You could flash the thing 100 times in a row if you wanted to. And, if you're doing 100 times in a row, we'd probably give you a call and, ask if you're having a hard time or something like that, because it'll throw up a warning flag on my end that somebody's just doing something abnormal.
Yeah.
But other than that, you can switch as many times as you want.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And can you give what may be considered like an average or a real world scenario where somebody would want to tune it one way and then a different way? I mean, is it based on riding areas, just the day that they want to just go rip it apart? Like, is it somebody who's maybe an amateur racer and wants to go race for a weekend and then come back? Like, what are some of the scenarios where people would want to be constantly manipulating the tune up and down like that versus just finding their sweet spot and sticking with it?
Well, most people only keep turning up because a lot of times people will start with a 10 horse
Yeah.
just because they're like super leery and they don't want to put excess stress on their machine and whatever. But then they ride it and they realize it runs smooth, runs flawless. And they're like, oh well, there's probably some more there. So then they go up to the 20, and I can tell you this: anybody that went to a 20 from a 10 is never going back to a 10. They're never going back to.
Yeah.
Now the 20 to the 30, there are some situations where a 20 is better than a 30,
Okay.
just because as you go up in elevation, your clutching is going to stay the same because at 12,000 feet we can maintain the exact same horsepower on the 20 horse tune as it is down low.
Oh, wow.
Where on the 30 horse tune, from the factory above 8,000 feet, they start plateauing and they don't gain any power.
Yeah, yeah.
Where on ours we still gain, but it starts fading off on the 30 horse tune.
Got it.
Just to survive on pump gas, when you start going up in elevation, say you're at 12,000 feet,
Okay.
you have to push a lot more boost than to make that 30 horse more than so when you're up around that 210 horse.
Yep.
So now the boost temps start climbing as your pressure starts climbing.
Okay.
So then all of a sudden it starts getting too high to sustain on 91. So we know where that level is and we stay underneath the level. So you will find that your clutching on a stage 3 needs to change a little bit between 7,000 and 11,000. Where
Okay.
on stage 2 you run the same clutching in both places.
Huh, that's really interesting. That's not something I would have naturally probably asked you about, but I'm glad you brought it up as we got talk through that. And so, for me out here in Washington, by far the majority of my riding is under 6,000 feet. And so what I just heard you say is that once I get, say if I decide to go to stage 3, I could get the clutching set up, and as long as I stay under that elevation, I shouldn't have to mess around with it too much, is what it's from here.
Up to like 9,000, you're not going to notice much difference.
Got it. Got it. Cool. No, that's interesting. That's great. Thanks for sharing. A question that is in the Q&A here is, do I need to contact you every time before I flash it? Is there any reason to reach out to you before I go in there and manipulate it and flash it?
That's the beauty of our system. You never need to talk to me.
There you go. Okay. What about if there's an update to the tune? I think you referenced this in the early intro here, but let's go over that one more time. If there's an update that you guys come up with and you find that there's a better formula in the tune to make the machine run better, how do I get that? What's that about?
It's instantly live. As soon as we release it, it's live in your account.
Okay.
So we don't have to send anything to your email. We don't have to do anything in your cloud account. It's instantly in that license for the Skidoo 850 Turbo.
Yeah.
And I mean, we designed it that way because one of the old programmers we used to use before this, we would have to email every person a new tune. And if you have 5,000 different customers out there, that's a lot of emails and a lot of people wondering what to do with it when they get it. And it's just a mess. So we really tried to simplify it and made it just streamlined as possible and automatic. And if we ever do release an update, we'll put a post up on Bikeman Performance's Facebook page and on the TorqueLink Facebook page. And then there's also a TorqueLink help group also, and we'll put it up in there.
Very good. Okay. That's great. And so another question here is, can I select the wrong tune for my vehicle?
No, that's one of the great things about it. Another one. So when it connects to your vehicle, the TorqueLink system knows, okay, this is a 21850 turbo.
Yeah.
And will only show you tunes for a 21850 turbo.
Yeah.
So there's no chance of trying to put an NA tune into a turbo or a turbo tune into an NA or a 20.5 tune into a 21. Like, it automatically knows what your sled is and only gives you those tunes to choose from.
That's got it. That's great. And so anybody who's in the show watching live right now, if you have any questions about the system, torque link, anything to do with this, feel free to drop it in the comments and I'll try to work it in towards the end here. And so we're almost at the point where we're there. It's one more question here in the Q&A, and then before I go into the kind of the John questions is, can I flash more than one brand? So if I have, say, a Polaris and a Skidoo in my garage or an Arctic Cat, how does that work? Can I use the same setup for everything, or how does that work?
For sure. All you need is a different cable from the torque link box that goes to the snowmobile.
Got it.
Because everybody's diagnostic port has a different connector on it.
Got it.
So we just have 3 different leads that go to the torque link. Each lead is pretty cheap. You can, if you know you're going to be flashing all 3 brands, you can get all 3 cables right out of the box, and it's only a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that's great. And so, Joey, here's the conversation that you and I had at Heydays, and I think this was really good. Now, let's talk through it right now for everybody. Is, I told you, like, hey, I live in Washington State. I unload my sled probably sometimes at 2,500 feet, sometimes even lower, but 2,500 feet to 3,000 feet. And then we go up the trail, we ride, and we probably ride most of the time between, say, 4,500 and 6,000 feet in that range, right? And it was like, you kind of just smiled and says, like, yep, we can take care of you there, right? Because this, a lot of times people think these high power turbos and everything else, they have to be, high elevation sleds and all that. But then I also described to you, I went even further and I says, like, well, hey, I'm not really a chute climber or a high marker. Like, the terrain here, because we ride those elevations, we ride a lot of trees, right? And so, yeah, we're riding some, off trail, we're cutting through trees, we're doing a lot of tree riding, honestly. And so for me, that really low end instant throttle response that I love about the Skidoo 850 motor was critical to me, right? And in my mind, as I think about an aftermarket turbo or any kind of a boost thing, is the concern around turbo lag and what is that going to be like? And am I going to lose any of that low end snap in the machine? And, I just talked you through my riding style, and you were able to sit there and go like, yep, this is what you need. And you were able to go that. So talk me through it based on my riding style that we talked about and what I just shared with everybody. What did you recommend? And ultimately, what did you send me?
Right. So we went with a stage, I think you got stage 1, right? Stage 1.
I don't know.
Stage 1 kit. Basically, the charge tube, the flash,
yep,
the clutching, and then you got the muffler also.
So tell us about this charge tube. What's that for?
So the charge tube goes from the turbo to your air box, and the factory ones have been failing.
Okay.
Even at stock boost. So you can imagine if they fail at stock boost, you want to replace it if you're going to turn it up.
Okay. And so how are they failing? Are they kind of like crushing in on themselves because of the air pressure, or what's happening?
No, they actually, they made them more of like a naturally aspirated intake tube.
Got it.
So it's just non-reinforced rubber with some ribs around it.
Yeah.
But the non-reinforced rubber, especially in the extreme cold, if you fire it up and start building boost, they'll split. And once they split, now you don't have any boost pressure anymore.
Wow.
And you're basically riding an NA 850.
Wow. Okay, that's good to know. Cool. And then what else was in the kit? You sent me obviously the torque link setup, right? The torque link box. Okay.
And then
I'll show everybody what the control module looks like when you get it.
Yep. So it's just a USB port on one side, and then that side there, that's the 9-pin connector that we have our different leads that we connect to the different diagnostic ports.
Yeah, and then in the boxes, the different connectors and stuff that are in the box. There's some cables and such in here too that I won't go into a lot of detail on, but all the connectors I need are in the box.
Yep, it's just 3 wires, a wall plug, a USB cord, and the connector to the data port.
So stage 2 is what we went with, it looks like.
Yep. So the stage 2 comes with a set of adjustable primary weights.
Yep.
Your primary spring, your helix, and your secondary spring.
Yep. So we got the box with the weights in it. Got the helix.
Yep.
And we got the 2 different springs, right? So we're all set up to tear into it. Awesome. And then there was one.
And on our website, they'll have all the setup, so exactly where to set your weights up.
We got one more thing that came in. Look at this, everybody. I'm gonna nice, slow, dramatic. Check this out.
I can see myself.
Like, I think this thing, Joey, I don't think I've ever seen an exhaust can that looked this good in my life. Like, I warned you I might do this on the, like I'm gonna do it. It's so clean and shiny, like you could eat off of it. It's so beautiful, guys. Like, in all seriousness, I've had some cans over the years, and like this thing literally no crap, is built like no other can I've seen. The welds on it, the stainless steel construction, the quality of it, like just visually and quality when you hit it, it's like this thing's amazing. So it's literally, I mean, visually and I'm assuming performance wise, it's gonna be one of the most amazing cans I've ever seen. So
For sure.
looking forward to it. Looking forward to
So
it.
one thing you will want to know about the muffler. So if you're running a stage 2, it runs great on a stock muffler. But if you're going up to a stage 3, you will want to have the high flowing muffler that you have there.
Yep, yep. My wife just dropped in the comments. She says it looks like you've just gotten a major award. You know, from the movie The Christmas Story, the leg lamp. It's like the major award. I got a major
Yeah,
award, so it's awesome. I love it. Thanks, Edith.
I put it up in my window.
Yep, yep. Hey, Edith, he sent me a Bikeman calendar also for you, just so you know. It's over there. We won't show it on the show. So, what else in the box? I think that was it. That's all the stuff that was in the box. And what else? What tools do I need to get this set up? That was a question I asked you the other day. It's in my notes. So, what do I need as a consumer to make sure that all of this stuff can get assembled onto my machine?
Yeah, so to do the secondary, it's a little tough if you don't have a secondary compression tool for
Yep.
the QRS secondary,
Okay.
just because they have jack shaft part of the clutch, and it's not like the old days. So uh, you can find them online for about $70. We don't sell them, but they are out there. And then for the primary, all you need is a regular, like a spin type clutch compression tool,
Got it.
just to hold the collar down on the P drive, and then you can pop the spring out. And that the primary is really easy to do.
Cool. Cool. Sounds easy peasy. I'm looking forward to it. So, got probably a month and a half before the snow flies. So I got a little time to get at it here after this weekend snow show here in Puyallup in Washington. And so one of the things, and I think we kind of alluded to it, but there's one thing I asked you just pre-show here that I want to kind of talk to everybody because I think it's really important. One of the reasons that I love kind of my stock factory turbo is that, it's so smooth, like from that instant throttle response from the beginning, the transition to the turbo. It's not like this big gap in power between like, what you'd have in a traditional aftermarket turbo where you have to gear it and, all those things for the power. And so when you first start out without the boost, it kind of is a little underpowered and people feel what's called turbo lag, right? And that's probably was one of my biggest fears going into this. And you described to me in the pre-show here how you have addressed that. And I think it'd be amazing for you to kind of talk us through what you anticipate, what I should anticipate experiencing when I go to ride it. So
Yeah, so as you build more horsepower, you have to wait for the horsepower. But on a turbo, so what creates the lag is the lack of the horsepower until the boost comes up.
yeah,
So what we've done in that early part, which you can see, we have a bunch of dyno graphs online and stuff. You can see what looks like a big dip in the horsepower graph, but if you switch and look at the torque graph, it makes a lot more sense because what we actually do is we bring the torque up really fast by advancing the timing, being a little bit leaner, but we know that we can do this for a limited amount of time just to get that throttle response there and get to the boost. So you'll see on the chart, like it really comes up and then it kind of drops down. And that's just because we've added that low end grunt to get to the horsepower.
got it. Yeah, and
And it
so
really makes it feel like responsive. So whether you're coming in on a go trail or whatever, and you see 2 whoops in a row, you want to double it.
yep,
Even running a stage 3, there's enough response and grunt that you can quick make a last decision and double a jump. You can be pointed down into a ravine, and it'll respond fast enough to lift that nose up and hit the other side and take off.
yep. Nope, that's awesome. Well, Joey, I think for the most part we've talked through all the questions that I had, and I think the one thing we've talked about a little bit, but I'll just give you an opportunity if there's anything else you want to add is the stage 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So stage 4 you got to go to actual race fuel or high octane, what is it, 110 octane fuel. But is there anything else in the different stages that you want to highlight for everybody before we wrap this up tonight?
Yeah, for sure. So one nice thing about the way we do stuff, we can actually run 10, 20, and 30 horsepower all on 91 octane.
Wow.
And we're the only people out there that do that.
Yeah.
So, and we have full control, full safety, and these things are bulletproof. They really are. If you want to go up to like a hot tune, we do have a 100 octane tune that puts out 45 horse more
Wow.
than the stock turbo.
Okay. Nope, that's amazing. Okay. Well, anything else we missed, Joey, before we wrap this up? Is there anything you want to make sure everybody knows about, Torque Link or ways to get a hold of you or anything like that too? If people decide they want to order something like this or if they have follow-up questions, where can they go?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is if you want to get a hold of me, it's really hard. The best way is to email me,
Okay.
joeybmp@gmail.com, or you can really talk to any of our sales staff. They're a lot easier to get a hold of. You can anybody at Bike Bend Performance. We also have a bunch of dealers out there for TorqueLink.
Okay.
Any one of them can install it and do it just like we do. There's a lot of people out there selling TorqueLink. If they don't sell TorqueLink, ask them to, because they will be eventually.
Very nice. And I'm assuming your dealer website or is on your website. The dealer distribution is on your website.
Yeah, and if somebody's a dealer and they're not a dealer for us, definitely hit us up. We do have volume discounts, and we take care of our dealers. We have good support for them, and the nice thing about our stuff is it's all designed in a package. So as long as you get the stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, instead of piecemealing something together, it's really going to work exactly like it's supposed to,
Yeah.
and they won't have any like tech after the fact of installing it.
Yep, no, that makes sense. And you brought up a comment there too that reminded me of a previous conversation I had too about, people who, like for me, we're pretty much set because my sled is 100% stock at this point. I've not done any aftermarket clutch kits or cans or any other parts that I've added to it. And so for you to be able to just send me the stage 2 kit, I've got everything I need, everything's designed to work together and we're good to go. But what if, and this happens a lot, I'm sure somebody's already got an exhaust system from another manufacturer, another company, or maybe they've re-geared it already, or they've already re-clutched it of some kind. What's your thoughts on that topic? I know that can be a little bit of a dicey situation if we're not careful, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm real careful to never downgrade somebody else's product.
Yeah,
What makes it hard is that we can't guarantee function of something once other variables are put in there.
yeah,
So I would probably recommend that they maintain all with one thing. Otherwise, they kind of put themselves on an island that nobody can reach because we don't know if it's their product, they don't know if it's our product, and
yeah.
it's a bunch of finger pointing and whatever. Where we'd like all the fingers to point to us and say we're doing a good job.
Yep, yep. No, it makes sense. So. All right, Joey. Well, I'm excited to give this a shot this winter, and you somehow you put me into the leap of faith, and I'm doing the trust fall, and I'm going to fall back into the BMP,
I got you, bro.
the BMP Torque Link arms, and we're going to give this a shot this season. And throughout the season, I'll be giving everybody updates on what's going on, and legitimately, I might because for me it's hard to go like okay first ride, everything already set up. I might actually go out and ride my sled a few times in stock form before I go out and ride it so I can give you guys the real world seat of the pants
Do
like,
it.
hey, here's what the stock sled feels like after I've been a few times. Here now I've updated it and now I've got the stage 1 or the stage 2 or the stage 3. I might
Yeah,
do
I
it
want
just
you to live on the air.
yeah, we'll do it. We'll do a couple. Yeah, I'll do recordings and stuff and shots out there too and stuff too to make some comparisons and hopefully I can get on the
I
snow
want
with.
to see your eyes like this.
Yeah, yeah. I'll try not to wear my tinted goggles that you can't see my eyes. I'll have them the yellow ones so you can see my eyes go big. But like I'm kind of a giggle monster in my helmet anyway, and so I can only imagine once I get this thing going there and I start grabbing a handful of throttle and the nonstop laughter inside my helmet. My wife's gonna probably just leave me on the trail, leave me on the mountain behind her and go back to the truck and leave me on the day.
Start doing pull-ups now.
Yep,
Start doing pull-ups because you're going to wear yourself out.
I got it. Got the hand. Yep, I got it. I'm getting ready. All right, Joey. Appreciate you jumping on tonight. You just go ahead and hang on there for a minute. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. So, everybody else, if you haven't already, feel free to share this out. Drop it in the comments. You can go over to the Facebook link and share out the link that I've already shared out. You can grab it right here from YouTube and share this out. And Joey's going to probably share this with some of his folks over at Torque Link as well too. So, hopefully, you guys will see this video around and appreciate you joining us. So, God bless everybody. Live large. Have an amazing day.